This is the LowcoSports Lowdown podcast. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett and Wes Kerr.
Hey, LowcoSports fans and friends. I mixed it up. I went old school on the intro tonight because Max not with us at the outset, although Manic Max, as we may have to start calling him, because he's got so many irons in the fire. He's running all over the place, which we can all relate to, particularly myself. But Manic Max is coming in hot a little bit later on. So Marcus Walsh joining us from WHHI TV, along with the regulars, Wes Kerr and myself, Justin Jarrett, on a Tuesday night edition of the LowcoSports Lowdown. The schedule has gotten quite fly by night of late, just because of the fact that we do all have so much going on, and there are just some nights where we just can't pull it off. We can't all get to a screen with the energy to perform at the prescribed time. So we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants right now, and we'll try to catch you up from day to day when we're able to get together. So a couple of nights worth of stuff to talk about. And we did, we had nightly shows during the Heritage. So we've kept you abreast of what's going on. And we will most likely be getting back to, even if the whole cast and crew is not available, some kind of a nightly broadcast, certainly as we get into the playoffs here. And we're into them because we have lacrosse playoffs. We're tracking down scores on tonight. And Wes was out there checking out some of the action. We'll also recap what happened last night, including my own personal triumph over Spirit, 30-27 win for the Canes over HHCA in what was one of the most fun nights of softball ever. It was a blast, man. Everybody had a blast, and we'll talk about it more toward the end of the show because that's where it belongs. But we'll talk bigger news, more newsworthy stuff up here. But first, how you boys doing? It was a manic week at the Heritage, but this week after is always kind of a weird one. It seems like we kind of it doesn't ramp right back up. It's a little bit of a swale, so to speak, and we kind of climb out of it. But some of the people are getting after it, including the Region baseball, Region 6 baseball, and then the lacrosse, of course. Wes, where were you at tonight?
At the Nest to catch some girls lacrosse, and playoffs are already underway and on lacrosse field, just the girls tonight, and it was some domination on lacrosse field from the Hilton IC Hawks. Kara Cook once again delivering for this program. She's done an excellent job, and they ran all over the Fury.
Fountain Inn Fury.
Fury of Fountain Inn, 18-3. They got fired up early and swelled out to a big lead, and Veronica Markowitz, Kelly Graham, each with some sensational games, 4 goals apiece, and then Lily Friday and Connor Cook also contributing, and this program continues to be just so exciting to watch, and they've continued that tradition of bringing up some underclassmen who have kept up what we've been seeing from some of those players that have gone on from this program. We've had a couple of really good years from that Seahawks squad, and they just keep delivering. This was really impressive, and I'll tell you what, they could have scored close to 25 or 30, but Fountain goalie was able to make some really solid saves to limit the damage, but still Hilton was just all over him. First the ground balls and just really alert passing and great recognition, and their coach really went over there. Hilton certainly will get tougher, but a nice first round win over this Fountain Inn Fury squad to get the playoffs started. Unfortunately, a couple of our teams go down tonight. Bluffton falls to Academic Magnet, which of course the home school of the runner-up of the RBC Heritage, Andrew Novak. He went there, and so that school being in the news over the weekend. But Academic Magnet with the 16-10 win over Bluffton on the girls lacrosse side. Then, as expected, Beaufort falling to the mighty Bishop England battling Bishops 19-0. We're still waiting
No.
on a May River Aiken score from tonight.
Yeah,
Still,
I'm efforting that score. May River was at home, so we should have had an admin on duty who should be able to deliver that score for us tonight. And it's good to have the right names in your Rolodex, right? That's the name of the
Absolutely.
game. So we'll see if Coach Biggs can produce a score for us. And that one I think could have probably gone either way. I don't think Aiken's like a powerhouse, and I think May River is
I
decent
expect
this
that
year.
one to be close. Yeah,
Yeah,
expected that one.
I think that's toss-up type game. So we'll see if we can track down a score of that one. Do we know yet who Hilton Head gets in the next round? Did
So
I
they
miss
will
you saying
face
that?
either Philip Simmons or Wakima. I have not seen a final score over there yet, but I do know
Okay.
the date and the time. The bracket says it's supposed to be on Friday, but due to a conflict with the field, because the field is also the one that the girls soccer team uses. They both use the football field. The lacrosse game we played on Thursday at 5:30. So it's a scheduling note there. The lacrosse game was originally scheduled for Friday. We played on Thursday at 5:30.
That's at Hilton Head. They'll be at home again.
Yes, yes, and
Okay.
the reasoning is the scheduling conflict is because the girls lacrosse team plays their home games on the football field, and of course so does girls soccer. And I think girls soccer has their senior night game that evening, so lacrosse had to move theirs, and
Okay.
they will play on Thursday.
Do the guys also play on the football field now, or
They play
do
on
they
the
still
actual
play on
lacrosse
the
field.
they still play
Yes,
on the old lacrosse field? I
on
love
the old
that
lacrosse field.
venue. Yeah, I love the old lacrosse field. It's a cool venue. It's tucked back there in the trees. I wonder why the girls don't use that anymore.
They did
Curious.
up to a few years back, and then
Yeah,
they moved over to
curious.
the football field.
Huh, interesting. I wonder why
Yeah,
that is.
it's
Maybe, huh, I don't know. Oh, no, it was not close. May River falls 23-7 to
Ooh,
oh,
Aiken
my.
tonight. So
So the
it was
Seahawks
that's
are the
tough.
last team left
last team
on the
standing
ladies'
on the
side.
girls' side. Yep. And the guys will get after it tomorrow. Seahawks at home against Gilbert, May River at home against Fox Creek, and Beaufort on the road at Aiken for the boys lacrosse playoffs getting started tomorrow. So
And that Hilton
that's
Head
pretty
boys team
exciting.
should have. I think they have a real shot. The bracket suits up really well for them. There, of course, there's some quality teams on that guy's side, but I think Hilton Head has a decent shot this year to make some noise. If they can,
Yeah.
I would assume they get that Oceanside, of course, awaits. But they're on the upside. They wouldn't see them until the state championship. So
Right.
yeah, I mean they Hilton Head, if they get past the second round, they'll probably get Flora. That's not easy because they'd have to go to Florida, but Flora. But it's a winnable game, so they have a real shot to get to the state championship game, in my opinion. By the way they've been playing, I think they've been playing the best lacrosse I've seen them in the last couple of years. So I think it's certainly possible to see a very deep run for the Seahawks this year on the boys' side. The girls, even though they won pretty decisively, they have to get past Bishop England, and that is no easy task. But we'll see. The Thursday game against Philip Simmons, most likely, I expect Philip Simmons to win that game against Wakima. That should be a really close one on Thursday.
Yeah.
That one probably would go either way.
Did they play in the regular season? I wonder.
I
Um,
believe Hilton Head. I just saw. I will pull it up now. I
yeah.
believe they
Yeah, Hilton
did, and
Head
I
beat
think the
them
Seahawks
14
won
to
that game.
10 and 7-5.
Yeah,
14-10 and 7-5. So two
yeah.
really
So two
competitive
close ones. So,
matches. Yeah,
yep. So
that would
that
be a
should be
good
a good one on
rematch.
Thursday.
Yeah,
Yep.
good stuff. We'll let you know about that one. Imagine Wes might be there. He likes he loves
Oh, dude.
his Seahawk lady lacrosse or girls lacrosse, I should
I
say.
love
He's
just
he's a
going to a
true
whole bunch of
Seahawk, that's
things
for
because
sure.
this is one of the most fun times of the year
It is.
because there's something to go to every night, and there's always something different every night, which is exciting.
I've noticed just in the last day I was able to take a look at some of the spring schedules and whatnot now that my schedule is finally kind of decluttered a little bit, coming off the Heritage and
That sounds
Easter
nice.
and whatnot. Yeah, just a little. Um, there's always time for domestic stuff.
Recondo that ish.
Um, So with all of the looking at schedules and whatnot, I noticed that there's a lot of baseball that's pretty close to my neck of the woods. So I actually might go out and see some high school baseball next week. I happen to see that May River takes on Hilton Head a couple of times. I think Bluffton might be in
Yep.
action at home as well. So I may go and check out some high school baseball next week.
That May River Hilton Head series is going to be critical too,
That
to
should be
the
good. Yeah,
Region
probably next
6
week.
4A.
Yep.
But
Yeah, I didn't realize you
I
still have
think
another 4
from what
weeks
I
after
saw,
this
it's
one till
Monday
playoffs.
and
yeah,
Wednesday.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, we have
It's a
another 4
Oh,
weeks
that's
after.
right. It's
Yeah,
3-game
3 days.
set to
yeah.
close out the regular season, and everywhere from second to fifth place is still sort of up for grabs in some sense or another,
Yep.
depending on how those last two series, that last series plays out, and the rest of this week's series. Because May River's got Colleton, which, Colleton hasn't won a game yet, but you got to make sure you
That
don't
Buford
slip
Bluffton
up.
series will be interesting
In that
as well.
Buford Bluffton series, Bluffton took game one in a really good game that it's ended up
I was there
6-2,
as,
but it
as
was a
well that
fight
one.
all the way
Yep.
through. And we'll get into that
Yep.
a little more because that race is really shaping up to be exciting. A high from our super awesome friend Jeff Riley, and more on that later. I'll tell you about a project we're working on together. Jeff is working on his capstone, and he
Nice.
wanted to do a little documentary film on how inclusion at USCB led to him having his opportunity to be a part of the coolest college basketball team in the country.
That's
So
great.
we've been working on that the last couple of days while I'm on spring break. He's come over and we've done some editing, and we're about to bring it in for a landing this week. So that's been fun, but he wanted to say hi. But before we go any further, let's shout out our presenting sponsor, Mickelson Law Firm. They make it all possible. Mickelson Law Firm, the presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage, and more on that later as well. Poor Molly, she was a trooper out there on the mound last night. We'll talk about it more in depth. But the Mickelsons, fantastic family with a great law firm right in downtown Bluffton. They can help you with all of your legal needs. They've helped us every step of the way. Our first sponsor is still with us, our presenting sponsor and our all-star sponsor. They are presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage, as I mentioned, and our official real estate closing attorneys, but you can use them for all your legal needs. Mickelson Law Firm. Here's another little note. Shout out to Thomas Hayward Golf heading to the state championship.
Fantastic.
First time since our buddy Trace Lowther was
wow.
a lowly 7th and 8th grader. So it's been a good minute since they've been in there.
Good
That's
for the
good to
Rebels.
hear. I always love when dormant teams get revived, or they kind of take that next step. Obviously, I have a special place in my heart right now because I'm coaching a first-year varsity team, so
Right.
I'm understanding it from a different perspective. But yeah, Jeff, keeping tabs on your Red Sox, Wes.
Yeah,
Jeff, a big
Tristan
Red Sox
Cassis with
guy.
a 3-run homer
Oh yeah, South Carolina
against
product. Yeah,
the Mariners.
I was
yeah.
talking about the
Mariners.
Guardians just a few minutes ago. They've got
2-3
Boston coming up this
Boston.
weekend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sorry?
I'm just
It'll
holding
be
my
me
breath.
against West and the Libs.
The Cubs are still hanging on to first
Yep.
place in the Central for now. I'm just
Oh,
holding my
the
breath.
Red Sox Guardians. That should be a good series this weekend.
Should.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Cleveland's playing much better baseball the last couple of weeks too. So
Yep.
But if we're going to talk baseball, let's talk Region 6 4A
Good.
baseball. I'll tell you.
If it sounds familiar, it's just like football.
Yeah, exactly.
With the way
It's
everything's
coming
going.
down to
Even
the
basketball for
wire.
that moment. Or
Everything's up for
for that
grabs.
for that as well.
Here somewhere. Here we go. I'm going to get the Max Prep standings up because they're pretty clean. I don't love everything about Max Preps, but
They're getting
I
better.
do love a lot of things about them. They do a pretty good job. Well, I wish they'd get rid of that ad though. There we go.
Oh,
Can we
the ads are
see it
such
now?
a pain.
Oh, awful. All right, so there you go. You got Bishop England sitting at 9-3, which means they have 3 left. Who do they? We're gonna get to the bottom of all this right here in real time, folks. The sausage is being made. This is how the reporting happens.
With
Bishop
mustard
England
seed,
has
jalapeno,
okay.
marjoram,
So
all of it.
Bishop England has 3 left with Bluffton. which is sitting in second right now, just one game behind Bishop
Mm.
England, as far as
Yeah.
like games back calculations go. Bluffton has 2 more with Beaufort, which, they take even one of those, they're in a really good spot. If they take both of them, they're in a great spot going into that final series. They just need to win the series to win the region. But easier said than done, right?
Yep.
Although they did beat Hollingsworth in game one, which is that's a task.
Yes.
So they're in pretty good shape there. And then May River sitting at 6-4, sitting in third, but kind of laying in the weeds because they have 2 more with Colleton, and then they have 3 with Hilton Head. And it's conceivable they could win 4 or even all 5 of those potentially. But Hilton Head kind of controls its own destiny a little bit because they've still got 3 against May River. They can still get to 8 wins, which
Right.
potentially Bluffton could split the next 2 with Beaufort and then potentially get swept by Bishop England, and 8 wins get you back into the mix for second and third maybe.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So there's
Everything's up for
there's a
grabs.
lot of stuff that could
Right.
happen here. It's pretty unpredictable with baseball how a 3-game series is going to go when the teams are as evenly matched as this. So it's going to be fun to watch it
Yeah, real
unfold
fun.
and see how it shakes out. And then the tiebreakers will come in, right? Because you have 3-game series.
Yep.
So you have clean head-to-head
You don't have
tiebreakers
to
if
yes,
2
you don't have to
teams
worry
end up
about
tied.
splits. Yep, no splits.
Right.
That's nice too.
Right. If 3 teams end up tied, then it can get kind of
Right.
dicey. But 2-way ties are easy to break.
Yep.
So I love baseball softball playoffs for that reason because it's just so
Yes.
clean and easy to track.
Although
Everybody plays on the same
with the playoff
night.
bracket, with all the RPI stuff, when it gets that's where because the way the high school league does it now, it's not as clear cut as it was before. Where it was like, okay, the top 4 teams from each region make it. Now it's a lot more complicated.
Yeah, but I think it's better at the higher levels, and it's still the old way at the lower levels. Like 1A is still the old way. It's just straight up region finish, and that's
Yep.
fine, I think. But I do think it's working better at the higher levels with the RPI. I think we have to give it a chance at least to work better. But they did immediately made an adjustment from last year's bracket to this year's bracket and went back to a better format. I also like the 3-game series once you get down to the lower state and upper state finals.
Me too.
I like that a lot, or semifinals or whatever it is. They've extended out the 3-game series another round, which is cool. So not all bad. What's this? How West the Seahawks losing 4 straight? Well, that's not entirely true. Now, I'm gonna correct a little misnomer on the demographics of Hilton Head High School. You might want to check those out. Those have changed dramatically, and are not the demographics you associate with Hilton Head Island in general at all. They don't. The kids who can afford the good baseball camps are by and large not going to Hilton Head Island High School. They're going to private schools. That's just facts. Um, Legion Ball no longer on Hilton Head either. So it's all travel ball now. And so it's priced out a lot of kids. And that's one of the things we're trying to kind of combat with some of the stuff we're doing with One Loco is just it's come to a point where if you don't get into rec ball real early and develop fast where somebody snags you to be on their travel team when you're young, you kind of get squeezed out and it's hard to get back in. And it's much like what we've seen with the pay to play concept of volleyball and soccer and a lot of other sports. And hey man, Wells is a good baseball coach. I don't know. You can say a lot of things about young man Wells. You can say a lot of things about young man Jared as well. But Wells is a real good baseball coach. I'm not going too far on that one. But Ray Alonso, Beaufort County Championship for track and field. Hilton Head tomorrow afternoon and evening. That's
Great
right.
stuff, Ray.
Los Canes will be in action. I love that they're putting on this event too. And so it's not just Beaufort County, by the way, Lowco Championships, because they invited us from from Ridgeland, or I assume Ridgeland. Hardyville was invited for sure. We'll be there, and we appreciate that because that is not always the case, that we get invited to those things, and some of it's of our own doing. We've had a bad track record in the past of transportation and things like that, but we're trying to correct those things and give our kids the opportunities to compete in events like this. And we appreciate the folks at Hilton Head, first of all, hosting it, but secondly, everybody inviting our kids to compete against the kids who are really their peers, or we hope so. So that's gonna be awesome. Yeah, go check that out. Track and field does not get nearly enough love, but we need to get that going. All right, will do. I'll hit up Coach Rachel from Bluffton Softball about 1L clinics. We need to get that rocking and rolling. Sundays in the Ville.
Yes.
All right, boys. So yeah, that baseball race is coming together again this week. We had 2 series on the docket. Hilton Head and Bishop England are both not playing region series this week, which is kind of odd scheduling oddity. But May River blew out Colleton last night 11-0. I saw Max Van Esselston had a really good outing. Bluffton 6-2 over Beaufort. Crazy play in this one. I've got it here. You saw this, right, Wes?
Mm.
Or at least, oh shoot, it doesn't use that codec or whatever. Let me see if I can play it another way. But the inside the park home run,
Yes.
it's really hard to tell on this video if it's an inside the park home run or if there's a misplay at some point. It's really hard to
Yeah.
tell. I will say that.
I'll give him I'll give him benefit of the doubt most times when we see something like that, unless there's a clear misplay or error. If we want to
Yeah, well,
replay
I
that,
just want to pull it up here so you
yeah.
guys can see it too, and I can see it in a bigger format than I've watched it in previously, and we can try to get to the bottom of what happens here. It's Dawson Coonsey at
Yep.
the plate for Bluffton. He's got runners on first and second, and here we go. He blistered it pretty good.
Smoked it.
Did it freeze up on
It
you guys,
was-
or did you get
yeah, it
to?
was.
I didn't.
Yeah,
It got
I
Let's
high
try
and
that
deep
again.
towards
mid portion of that
right center, and
play.
it
Yeah.
Let's
froze.
see.
Yeah, it's definitely right.
Yeah, it's toward right. The guy makes a diving effort. It gets by him. He tracks it down.
I wonder if the
Okay,
wind
there
was
was a
blowing out that way.
misplay.
'Cause it looked like it was going to
Cutoff
right center at
man
first.
booted it.
I
Hooked.
didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably a double and an error,
Yeah.
if we're being honest. But nonetheless, the hustle was tremendous there. Just
Gotta have
tremendous
that.
from Coonsey getting around the bases and getting in there, and it sparked a big rally. They ended up scoring 4 or 5 in the inning, I think, and winning at 6-2. So big win for Bluffton. They have truly impressed me this year. Going into the season, and we could pull back up these. Let's see these baseball standings here as we talk about it. Trying to. Struggling. There we go. There we go. Bluffton to me is the biggest surprise there. I mean, I expected May River to be right up there with Bishop England, and I think they will be when all is said and done. I think they'll be 1 and 2 probably because May River has the head-to-head on Bluffton. I thought
I think
Beaufort would
Bluffton
be
will
right
take
there
third
in the
then.
mix, but yeah, it looks like it. I mean, as long as they take one of the next 2 from Beaufort, I think they'll solidify no worse than third. So I think that's impressive to me because they graduated a lot of talent off that team
Yep.
last year,
No
and
doubt.
so they've reloaded and they've got some good young kids that are going to be good for a long time. So I like that team. I like that team.
Indeed. I
Props to
agree.
Kitty and them.
Yep.
Yeah, Hilton Head is a very young squad this year. They also graduated a ton, not just this year, but the year before as well. They're very young. Um, and they're one of their rocks, Connor Wendell, going through a lot this season with his dad's passing, and coming off
Injuries
injury
too.
during football season. So I didn't I think they've actually been more competitive than I might have expected. They got some really young kids starting on that team, kids that their peers are still playing middle school baseball, and they're starting on varsity team. So I actually think Coach Bowman has done a really good job with that team this year, and they've stayed the course and are going to be really good for the next few years. So there's layers to this. But anyways, Max Raj, welcome, sir. How are you?
Hello.
Just in time, we've been talking some your favorite stuff, high school baseball in
Yeah.
Region 6-4A. I'll tell you what, Max, it is going to be a ton of fun these next 2 weeks as we sort out this region. And as we were mentioning, anywhere from first through fifth is up for grabs. Just going to be a ton of fun.
In soccer, I just feel like this region, in any sport, there's a possibility that this region is going to come down to the wire. No matter what the sport is, there's always a chance there. And
Right.
more than your
Even if first place doesn't, then the middle part is going to be messy and fun.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I think my thing is like I said, with any sport, I feel like in this region there's always a higher chance compared to other regions that it's always going to come down to the wire. Unless like between
I mean,
first
I'm
place
sure some of that is our own bias just because we pay more attention to it. Because I do
No,
feel
but
like the Florence
agreed.
region, like whatever regions we match up with in the playoffs, are always messy too. You can never figure out who our opponents are going to be going into the last week. It's like, well, it depends if Brooklyn Casey
Right.
beats,
Yeah,
So I think
it's
it's more widespread than we probably realize. But
I
it is
just
fun.
I don't know. Something about this region always seems to come down to the wire, and it's always fun too to watch it and see how it unfolds as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's going to be an interesting next week and a half or so to see where everybody ends up sitting at the end of it. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the Hurricanes as we inch towards playoffs as well. I'm sure Justin's just as excited as I am for it. Great win last night, by the way. That was
I'm
fun
getting
to be a part
I'm
of.
getting
But
tired, man. I'm getting tired. It's taking years off my
I
life.
mean,
I lived 3 lifetimes last night, and I can't.
last night getting to coach alongside you last night with the Hurricane softball team was just absolutely fun. I had a blast doing it.
Look,
And what a game it was
I
too.
appreciate you too. The struggle
Yeah,
was real last night. I got 3 assistants and then a volunteer assistant, and we didn't have none available because
yeah,
my silly butt scheduled 3 games on spring break because that's how I be. There were games we needed to play, and spring break was the only week we could get anybody to play them because their spring break was the week before.
right.
So we made it happen.
Yeah, but I
Um,
enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
it was a
I'm
blast having it. It was hugely helpful to have you there, and it
yeah,
was a blast to experience it with you. We were down 14-1.
yes,
Hilton Head Christian looking for their first win, their first year program, just like we are. I mean, we're first year varsity. We had a JV last year, and there's a handful of girls who played 4 games, so that was the bulk of our experience right there. Um, but so we're basically essentially both first year programs,
yeah,
and we're struggling with the same things, and so it was really a great matchup. The vibes were immaculate. It ended with the lights going off because my bad. I always set the lights to be on too long, and then I have to go back and change it and turn them off early. So I was like, well, sure, we'll be done by 9, right? So the default was 6 to 9, and I set save. I hit save, and I lost track of what time it was. And
yeah.
bottom of the 5th, them lights went off.
Honestly, I lost track of time until the lights turned off, and I looked at the time and I was like, "Oh
Oh, I
crap!"
knew
It's already.
exactly what happened as soon as they popped off. I was like, "Oh no, it's 9 o'clock." But everybody handles themselves professionally.
Dude, I
No,
tell you what, the girls
we
were
met
having
in the
fun with
dark.
the lights
We
out,
met in the
man.
dark to discuss what was going on, and everybody was like, let's get him back on and play. Except for poor Molly Mickelson, who had thrown over 200 pitches, just like my little 7th grade pitcher, Alicia Ortiz, had. You can do that in softball. It's not the same. But yeah, they were.
Are we talking 200
Huh?
pitches in what? In just
In a
over the
game,
night?
yeah. Oh yeah. It's not
Wow.
uncommon in softball, truly, and it doesn't.
I mean,
It
I
doesn't
know
strain
they
the
go
arm in the
well
same
over
way at all.
100 a game.
Yeah, and I promise you, Lisi was better in the last inning than she was in the
Well, I mean,
first one.
if you think that's a lot of pitches, I can only imagine how many pitches some of those pitchers from that Whale Branch Lake Marion game threw.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, but
Yeah.
look, I'm really excited for the softball program. I'm excited for my baseball program. We have an interesting game tomorrow as we take on Whale Branch at home, so that should be
Yeah,
fun.
we got Whale Branch coming over too. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be exciting, but I would say with Hilton Christian, they're building something there. It's definitely something special.
Dude, they're young too. That
they're
catcher,
very young.
Bailey Haynes.
I'll tell you, Molly, man.
Molly's a dog, period.
She
smashed
man.
a triple to the fence. And I coached Molly in baseball when she was little,
right.
She played baseball with the boys until recently. In fact,
I
believe she maybe played on the JV baseball team at HHCA last year. And then when they started softball this year, she transitioned. And I think she's been playing a little bit of travel softball and stuff. But she grew up playing baseball with her brothers, and she's going to be really, really, really good player. She's a tremendous kid.
I'm excited.
And she's not a pitcher. She's pitching because they need a pitcher, and she can do it better than anybody else.
She's doing great.
And that's kind of where we are too. But she's becoming, she can become one. But she's a really good fielder, when she's not pitching. She made a play too. I think we got a call on this one because she made a play that was just disgustingly good, where she tracked down a little capper down the line and scooped it up right before it rolled foul and put a tag on our player. I think they said no tag and called her safe, but I had it either foul ball or out. I didn't see how there was any way that she didn't tag her. It was a great play.
From where I was standing down the first base line, I couldn't see it clearly if she had touched her or not. I thought
regardless.
She did.
It was so heads up.
It was so
smart. Such a good play.
A great play.
But no, they're coaching the kids well. They're a well-coached team, and they just need to play more, just like our girls.
Well, I'm also excited to see them come out. I'd like to see a lot of them come out and just work with us on weekends and stuff like that.
I think that might happen. They seemed excited about the prospect. So,
but
no, it was fun.
That program, it's a working program, but I feel bad for them because they don't have their own field, so they've been playing on the road the entire
season. And they've been like us, except they didn't have an Allendale to give them two lopsided ones going the other way. Every game's been 2.5 innings because they're on the road and they get run ruled and they don't even have to play the field in the third.
They had to play. They had to play Lawrence Manning, who are state champion softball program.
Yeah, they played a doubleheader with Thomas Hayward, which. We don't need to be playing double headers if we're
not even
to get through
Thomas
the first
Hayward.
one.
I mean, that's a Thomas Hayward program that has won state titles as well.
They're established, but like teams that are trying to get through the first one don't need to turn around and play a second one, not just yet.
Well, the other thing was I asked
quite ready yet.
Had they played prep, and they said only a scrimmage. I was like, y'all need to put a game together with them.
Dude, they should be playing each other every week, honestly. But regardless, we'll move on from the subject. But it was a blast last night. It was fun, and it's been really fun to watch this softball culture start to grow up in the Lowcountry in real time with all these new programs and girls just getting excited about the game. And I'm sure just like our girls, all the Hilton Head Christian girls and Hilton Head Prep girls are all on TikTok and whatever the other one they're on. I don't know, all the things they're on, looking at the videos of all the softball players and loving life. Yeah,
is
all of them.
Snapchat still popular?
Yeah,
it is. Not as big as it was when I was in high school. It was.
I still haven't wrapped my head around
why. It's mostly TikTok is still the big social media platform now.
X.
Yep. Yeah. Instagram still. Instagram's still pretty
X
solid.
has fallen off. Everybody's
Oh yeah. X has gone
X is for
downhill,
like
but
edgelords. No, like
and
everybody's
for
checking
live
out on X.
and for like live events, but that's
Yeah, but it's lost a lot of its luster for that too. We need
Yeah.
a new place for that. There's no good place for that now.
Yep. Indeed.
I've tried
is
Blue
what it
Ski
is.
and it's meh,
But
and I've tried
Instagram still,
Threads and it's meh, and just I
yeah,
want
Blue
old
Sky.
Twitter
I've tried
back.
that one too, but that's
Yeah,
just
me too. That's probably the best one of the bunch so far for me, um, but just none of them really replace old Twitter. Old Twitter
I
was
mean,
great.
Instagram is really the only social media that I really use outside of, like, I use TikTok, but for all my like posts and stuff like that, it's really Instagram. I mean, I barely use Facebook
Yeah,
these days as
same.
well.
Instagram has, I mean, I use Facebook mostly and yeah, Blue Sky's the closest to old Twitter, but like it's so hard to recapture the feed that you had cultivated.
right.
It's like when you switched from Pandora to
It's
Spotify, you were like,
Yeah,
man,
it's
I
just the
just miss
vibe, the light
Pandora and knowing what
blue
music.
Twitter logo and all that, and then the X now that's taken over. It
That's
just
true.
and I'm not gonna like I said, we got into it that one night. I'm not gonna get into it again because it's I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
leave the you know,
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm feeling
yeah
you.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just
I don't
I
want
don't
to get
know.
into that
It's
side of the weeds of that, but yeah,
right. Well, social media is just a weird world anyway that is
it really
probably
is.
just ruining
Yeah,
all of our
it's
brains.
very
But
yeah. I don't know
it
how
is what it is. It's kind of, if you
yeah,
haven't
that's
watched Black Mirror, you might want to watch it and start thinking about what these screens are doing to our brains. But maybe
The
not
new
because
season
it'll
came
send
out
you to a
recently for
dark
Black Mirror.
place.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know. I need to catch up on some. I got to get to a weird place to be able to watch Black Mirror. But when I do get to that place, I'll watch a bunch at once and just start thinking weird dystopian thoughts. Which maybe you need to do that from time to time. I don't know. Seems to help
Right.
me. It's like therapy in
Yep.
some way.
Yep.
But all right, boys. Let's shout out some more sponsors. We got Hudson Seafood House on the docks back for another round. We love the folks over there, Andrew and company at Hudson Seafood House on the docks, presenting sponsor of Under the Bus. And our next episode is finally on the books for Monday. We've been trying to get our schedules together, and it's been a little chaotic. Bob Stevens was out at the Heritage, and
Yeah, he
everybody had
literally
all
just
kind of
got
stuff.
back and then he was out at the Heritage. So
Yeah, he was in Africa, and then he was at the Heritage, and so it's been a little chaotic. But we're gonna try to get back on track with
getting back
Monday night
rolling.
Yeah,
episodes.
we need to catch up on
Should start
some
a
Under
new
the
show.
Bus.
Where in the
Yeah.
world is Bob Stevens?
Yeah, well,
Ah,
sometimes it's
he
Bob,
does
sometimes
travel.
it's Curry, sometimes it's Rich, but somebody's almost always where in the world is Carmen Sandiegoing somewhere at some point. So,
Where in
regardless,
the
That's a lot
world
of
are these old
yeah.
dudes
they're
at?
sponsored by Hudson Seafood House on the docks. Great place on Hilton Head Island for seafood sunsets and cocktails. And get it Andrew's way and tell them the guys from Loco sent you. New sponsor, Hilton Head Furniture, joined us recently. The Satola family, big Hilton Head Christian Academy supporters, and new LowcoSports sponsor. They have handcrafted furniture made up the road in Hickory, North Carolina, brought down to you to sell to you here in the Lowcountry, keeping your house for a long time. Quality furniture from Hilton Head Furniture. And if you need to improve your view of the Lowcountry, our old friend Coach Barron is now in the window and doors business. Hilton Head Island HHI windows and doors, improving your view of the Lowcountry. And we know Coach Barron holds everything to a high standard. So that
No
business is going
question
to be
about that.
running like a well-oiled machine, and they're going to make sure they take
Ain't
care
that
of
the
you.
truth?
If you need windows and doors, you can count on Coach Barron and HHI windows and doors. Carmen Sandiego wasn't a retired white man.
Never.
Yeah, women's.
This is true.
Yeah, I agree. I love the USCB women's teams right now. And speaking of which, Jeff's documentary, very cool. Maddie Self is in there. Kyle Pulse, Nolan Paladugu, course coach Ron, Quinn and Gina. He's got all kinds of people he interviewed in there for that thing. So it's coming together. It's gonna be cool. He had 2 hours worth of footage and said he wanted to keep it all. And I said, "Now, buddy, I'm gonna have to be a relentless editor here. We're gonna have to trim it down. We're down to 25 minutes now, so should be a nice little film. But it's gonna be cool. All right, boys. What else? What else we talking about tonight? I got a couple items that I can throw at you, and then I'm
one
gonna
thing
count
that
on you.
I was looking at as well, just at work and trying to finagle everything. USCB has both baseball and softball at home this weekend, correct?
Indeed, yeah,
Yes.
the
Yeah,
double. It's the
doubling up.
final weekend of the regular season, and yeah, baseball. Both teams are they'll have things to play for. They're both still on the hunt
Right.
to get into the conference tournaments, but they will definitely have a lot of work to be done. Baseball probably needs a sweep to get in. Softball, they're tied with Augusta for the last spot. They have the head-to-head, but they got to play the best team in the conference in North Georgia, so that's not gonna be easy either.
I'm sure I
But
know the answer to this question, but it's
yeah,
definitely very tricky to cover both if they're home on a weekend, right? Because you only have obviously so many folks in production and so much
I think
equipment,
they
right?
tip it is. I can't speak to what it's like now versus what it was like when I was doing the job 8 years ago, but then it was extremely difficult. We usually tried to do it, but man, it was a skeleton operation. And so
Because I did text Bracken
and
and y'all
also just
saying,
the realities of the broadband situation on that site, unless they've changed since I was there. With today's video standards, I don't know how you could push 2 feeds out of there without running
yeah,
into some trouble. So no, it is a logistical nightmare. Unfortunately, double toil and trouble applies to Bracken and
yes.
his crew this weekend.
Even when I was
Um,
in
it's
I
college, we
will
had to
be
pick and
there.
choose what we
one live
covered.
broadcast
I
is a
will be.
nightmare. Two
Yeah,
live
I think I'll be on
broadcasts.
baseball as yeah. I think I'll be on the baseball broadcast this weekend. Not 100% confirmed, but most likely I'll be calling the baseball games. And I'll tell you what, I think that series is a winnable one for USCB. Aiken is we saw it was a great series last year. Could have gone either way, and I think it's going to be right there for the taking this year. Obviously, this time the Sand Sharks, well, they could potentially win 2 out of 3, but they need a lot of help from Augusta. But most
Hmm.
likely they need to sweep in order to get in. But it's still possible. This I'll tell you what, the pitching has got a lot better for USCB baseball. I was impressed by what they did. They almost got 2 straight shutouts. They're up 1-0 going into the
Right.
ninth inning, both of those games. While I was covering the Heritage, I was following along with what was going on, and their pitching showed up against Flagler. It's a shame they're only able to get one of those wins. They lost one on a walk-off homer. Man, if they would have gotten one more, that would have been a huge
Dang.
difference. But
Yeah, no
at
doubt.
least they're still in the fight until the last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean I obviously I think there's a chance, but um if they want to get this series win, they're going to need to shut it down. In terms of their bullpen, they need to play lights out uh, in pitching if they want to get this. If they want to make the playoffs,
Yeah.
the bullpen's got to be extremely solid, and I think they can be. They got the talent there. It's just can they execute when game time comes around? So I'm intrigued to see what they do this weekend. Obviously, it's a very important series for them.
Yeah.
But I'm more intrigued to see how USCB softball does against North Georgia this weekend
Mm,
because obviously we remember what happened last
Yeah.
season with them in North Georgia. That game that became a bit controversial at the end of the game and costed them, if I believe rightly, a one run win last season against North Georgia on the road. So I'm intrigued to see what they do in this series as well. But I mean, the USCB is softball is not not out of it in the playoffs. I mean, they're right in there. So I'm intrigued to see how they can play in
Yeah.
this series and. If they have to face North Georgia again, it will be in the playoffs. I have a
true.
good feeling that they will be
Oh
playing
yeah.
each other in the
So if they
playoffs.
play their way in, they would play them in the first round, wouldn't they?
Because
That'd
if
be
I'm not
interesting.
mistaken, right now, I believe USCB is ever so slightly hanging on to the 8th spot. So if they do make the playoffs, they will be facing North Georgia. They're either hanging on to that 8th spot or they're about a game behind whoever's sitting at the 8th spot, if not less than a game.
What'd you
For that
tell us,
matter.
Wes, that they were? Yeah, tied with Augusta for the
Softball, yes, they're tied with Augusta for the 8th spot.
Yeah.
They need to at least match their number of wins over the weekend, which
means they got to win
is
2
not
out
gonna be
of
easy
3.
because Augusta or USCB has North Georgia, and Augusta doesn't. Augusta's a little bit easier, so they may only need to win one. If Augusta loses their series, they may only need to
Yeah,
win
you're
one.
right. You're
Who's
right.
So,
Augusta
but you'd
face?
like to win more than that, but they trying to remember they play. They play like a middle of the pack team.
They
This
play.
weekend, but
I don't know, but we swept Augusta, right? Yeah.
we
Okay.
did, but
Yeah.
we
So
did,
that's good. So
but
we
we're
have
tied with them in the
the
standings.
right.
If
So
we
we
end
have
up
the head-to-head.
I mean, that's a good thing because we
We have
end
the
up
head-to-head. So, like I
taking
said,
the
we just have to
tiebreaker,
match
yeah.
what they do.
They have Lander.
But
Who?
They have
Yep.
Lander,
Okay.
which is in
Okay.
6th,
Uh,
right, or tied for 5th right now.
Okay.
okay, so yeah, much more winnable. I
Augusta
mean, I just
coming
they're
off a
not they're not
3-game
as difficult to
3-game win
beat.
streak. Landers lost 2 straight,
Yeah.
so very much, could go either way.
Yeah, it's
So
kind of
yeah,
scary.
Yeah,
for
they may.
USCB.
I mean, it all depends. It could be a scoreboard watch. They'll I mean, they if they may not have enough to win that. It's possible that. Yeah, it all depends on it all depends on what Augusta does, pretty much. So,
I mean,
there'll be a
between
lot of scoreboard
baseball,
watching, I guess.
yeah, but I mean,
right.
between baseball and softball, we all can agree
Oh.
that softball has the better odds going.
Well,
into
and here's another
Um,
factor. Softball's going to have some idea, at least on Sunday, they're going to know what they need to do because the Lander
Oh,
Augusta series is a Friday,
okay.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Okay. So
So,
at least Sunday,
yeah,
there's still depends on what happens.
Gives us more of an advantage there.
If
I
there's
like
still
that.
a lot, yeah. It really all depends, but at least you won't worry about scoreboard watching that last day. You may
Yeah.
just it depends. Yeah. So hopefully they'll either have it clinched potentially or
right.
be able to
So,
play for that last spot on Sunday.
let's say Lander takes game 1 on Friday. We win game 1 on Saturday and Lander wins game 1 on Saturday. Then
Right. So
you're
if
good,
they
right? So
if they
it is
win
possible.
2, we just need to match their win total. So
Right,
if they took 2 out of 3 and we took 1 out
right.
of 2,
So you
we would just
theoretically could
maintain that. Yeah.
clinch it by
Right.
2 p.m. Saturday,
And I also think
Yeah, it's possible.
theoretically,
Yeah.
yeah, it is possible. And I
It's
also think
possible.
theoretically,
So that'll be fun.
softball has the better chance of making the playoffs than baseball does at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
mean,
I'd agree,
absolutely.
obviously.
Because I think
Just
even if
because baseball has to
USCB
sweep,
sweep,
softball may not have to sweep. So,
Right.
yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree with you. I'd
yeah,
say softball's
so
better than
so
baseball.
baseball would have to sweep for
Right.
any hope,
Unless
right?
Augusta gets swept. Unless
Okay.
Augusta gets swept, I believe. And
Who
then
does
Right. You're
Augusta
right.
who does Augusta play this weekend for baseball?
Augusta plays Flagler.
okay, yeah. So yeah, Augusta
Um,
plays Flagler. Yeah, so if Augusta gets swept, then USCB would just need 2 to overtake them in the standings.
Boy,
right.
If Augusta wins just 1 or more, then the St. Sharks would need a sweep. That's
Right.
what it comes down to.
Yep.
you know how I
Yep.
said earlier this, last week, like in terms of the baseball situation, it just feels like, kind of deja vu kind of moment. Just because we're at the end of the season and USCB is playing USC Aiken for a shot at making the playoffs. It
Yep.
just feels like we're running 2024 back all over again,
Yeah,
But,
but
yeah,
sort of
however,
as they
last
should
year,
be in a way. I mean, I'd
however,
like to
last year we
see
just needed 2 out
the
of 3.
Carolina
Yeah.
teams going a little better,
Yeah.
but
that is true.
speaking of Carolina teams, what do you guys? We haven't talked about this, I don't think, but Limestone University, where our
I
Queen
did mention it
Dior
the other
has
day.
just graduated, shutting it down,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
How
a
about
bunch
that?
of kids looking for homes.
Actually, that was one of my parting thoughts was, I guess we can talk about it now, was that I saw today that all
Well, we're
94 of their
getting
football
toward
players
parting thoughts.
all entered the transfer portal at the same time.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were all just
Soccer.
waiting.
I mean,
They couldn't they couldn't enter the portal until the school officially made the announcement.
well,
So they were just sitting in limbo. They couldn't talk to coaches or anything.
I just feel horrible for them because
Yeah.
Me
they're at
too.
a point in the off season where it's going to be hard to find schools that want to take you,
Right.
because they've
What are they
already
going to
gone
do?
through their transfer portal situations and stuff like that, and it's
Right.
getting late in that transfer portal window, really. So it's just almost shocking that. Well, not really shocking. I just feel bad for some of these players because it's going to be tough to find. I wouldn't say tough.
Well,
I just feel like it's like almost
yeah.
like a rush to get to a school because they're
It
already
is a
starting
little
spring football
bit.
and
It is a
stuff.
little bit. Certainly for soccer, it certainly is because their season comes in fall, right? So
Well,
Yeah.
same with football,
that's a challenge. Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. Football's a mess. But yeah, I don't know where people are gonna land. I
and
mean,
that
it sucks. It really
Oh,
sucks. Now,
yeah.
I think there'll be landing spots as far as like they'll be able to find roster spots, but are you going to get a scholarship? Is it going to be at a place where all your credits are going to transfer? Does it even make sense, from an academic standpoint at this point, depending on what year you are? So, and I know at least one local kid is caught up in it, Ashlyn Parsick, who played soccer at Hilton Head Prep a few years back. She's going into her final year of eligibility, planned to graduate from Limestone, and now she's looking for a home. And that's the kind of kid that you'd hope could find a home at USCB, but I don't know whether all those things make sense. It's a lot of things that have to fall into place. So it's crazy, man. Kids are scrambling for homes now, and that's one of the only wrestling programs, NCAA wrestling programs in the Carolinas as well, and we lose that.
And it's not
Yeah.
just, of course, the students. I mean, think of faculty,
Yeah,
especially those that aren't, tenured into the double
right,
digits of their careers. They have to look for new homes too.
right.
I mean, obviously, you don't see it every day that a college just closes its doors.
Crazy.
Really, really tough situation. Very crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Thoughts
awful.
to everybody for sure. Horrible.
Yeah, well, and there were kids that probably thought they had put everything to rest and
Yeah.
settled on. They knew their home now. They're going to Limestone, and oh no, you're not.
Right.
So yeah, it sucks, man. But that's big news. In other college news, closer to home, Ian Kelly has made his college decision. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he hit me up to let me know this morning. I won't be able to make it, but maybe somebody can. Next Thursday, May 1st at noon in the Hilton Head Christian Academy gym, he will be signing with UNC Charlotte. So
Fantastic.
the
49er.
latest leg of the Loco going to be a 49er.
Awesome.
So that's very cool.
That
Fantastic.
is next Thursday.
Some more news
Uh-huh.
that you shared, JJ, regarding a former
Yep.
local standout on the golf course.
Yeah, Marcus's old buddy and broadcast partner Chris Tremblay, who is
Thank you,
better
JJ. I
known
was gonna.
in many circles for his golf acumen, his golf coaching acumen. I don't know if he still has it, but for the longest time he operated as the junior PGA, the JPGA Academy,
Yes.
and trained a bunch of local kids who have gone on to big things. He's a great coach. He trained Jeep Patrick, who we've talked about for years and years because he's been around. He was making waves when he was in like seventh grade at the Montessori school, type stuff. And Jeep was big standout at Hilton Head Prep, then went on to Presbyterian, where he was back home, sort of, at Fripp Island, just up the road, and won medalist honors in the Big South Conference Championship, with a 63, 71, 70. That's 9 under par over 3 rounds,
Wow.
and leading the Blue Hose into the match play portion of the tournament starting tomorrow. So that was today at Fripp Island. We talked a
Nice.
little bit the other night about how many, lower key golf tournaments there are in the area that nobody knows about, that are happening all the time. And that's a great example of it. Right over on Fripp, we got the Big South Championships and a local kid taking medalist honors. So awesome stuff there. I was going to mention this as well. We mentioned him earlier, Connor Wendell. He committed to Newberry for baseball. He's going to sign on May 21st at Hilton Head, which is tremendous. Yes, Chris Tremblay, absolutely a gentleman. Tremendous guy. Great coach. Has mentored a lot of young men and women to great things in the game of golf. So love all that. But yeah, Connor Wendell. Wes, you and I talk a lot about our favorites, and we're always like, I know I say that about a lot of them, but I know I say it about a lot of them, but Connor Wendell is right up there as one of my favorite kids, as far as just seeing the effort and emotion that he puts into the game, combined with the appreciation and love that he always shows us when we show up, because he really appreciates it, and we really appreciate that. That's all any of us wants, right? Is to have our efforts appreciated.
Absolutely.
And I mean everyone in life, not just us, but
Absolutely.
just have your efforts appreciated.
It's what helps make the world go around.
Yep.
All right, boys. Well, we'll get into the parting thoughts here after a couple of more sponsors, a few more Loco Booster Club members. Base Hit Life has baseball and softball themed apparel. Great stuff. It's getting out of hoodie season now, but the bugs is still biting. And they also have great T-shirts, hats, and all kinds of other cool stuff. Baseball and softball themed over at basehitlife.com. So get over there and live your best base hit life. Dr. Ambrose Cole, official chiropractor. Find him at Rooted Living Wellness in Bluffton, and he'll get you feeling right, mind, body, and spirit. Reverence Wrestling Club, our official wrestling sponsor, and presenting. What's happening, Max? Max is rocking out. Reverence Wrestling Club, our official wrestling sponsor and presenting sponsor of the Loco Grind. And speaking of reverence,
no idea what just happened.
That was phenomenal.
We went into a little musical
Soul Train all of a sudden.
Yeah, right.
All of a sudden, I just hear some music coming through my headphones. I'm like, "What is this?"
My guy, Gear Baby, the head wrestling coach at Hardyville High School, previously at McCracken Middle School, is out in Vegas, repping Reverence. He's got his Reverence singlet ready to go for the U.S. Open. You guys are crazy. My guy's crazy. I hope he comes out of there in one piece. But he's trained at Reverence, so I'm sure he's ready for the battle. Official wrestling sponsor and presenting sponsor of the Loco Grind. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry will get your floors so clean your feet will thank you. So if you're around somewhere and they got them sticky, greasy, gross floors, just tell them, hey, you ever heard of Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry? Really good at that. Jay's Barbershop, the place to be in Ridgeland, whether you need a haircut or not. We've told you about some of the stars that get their haircut there. Tony O'Banner, One Time, among others. I've heard some rumors on the high school football coaching front about some job offers that are floating around that could get real interesting, but they're not at the talking about them on the air stage yet. They're very, very light rumors. I mean, they're not light. They're well-sourced rumors, but they haven't been addressed.
It's all good.
Let's put it that way.
So stay tuned.
We're gonna leave it alone
for the Loco After Dark.
Stay tuned.
We're gonna leave it alone, but there's
you guys can go.
There are openings.
Go ham with that.
You guys want to hear about? If you guys
we're leaving it alone. We're leaving it alone. It's
you guys,
not ready.
You guys
it's not
talk
ready
about
for
that
prime
amongst
time
yourselves while I get ready.
Let's
to bed.
Wes is still sleeping off his heritage. What do you got for a parting thought, Wesley?
Yeah, I have some parting thoughts. Actually, I have another nugget from the heritage about, of course, Justin Thomas. But I want to talk about his caddy, who has not been with him for long.
Right.
Joe Grainer, this was just his second tournament that he carried the bag for JT because his original caddy was out with a back injury, And so Griner got the chance to caddy for JT starting with the Masters in Augusta, and pretty solid finish, T36. And then of course we saw it happen in Harbortown this past week, and
Yeah.
so how about a
I think he's going to get the job.
$360,000 payday from Mr. Griner? So 10% is normal tip for your caddy after the prize money. 10% of the prize money from your winnings goes to the caddy most of the
Right.
time. So he earned himself over $300,000 for that victory. So good for him. And there could be some interesting discussions to be had about Justin Thomas's bag services in the future, especially when Greener helped him get a win like this, and former caddy, I believe, for Max Homa.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, some drama there.
In
all of a
fact,
sudden.
our friend Carlo Perusa threw a little shade on the show the other night and said, he made more money in 2 weeks with JT than he did his whole career with Max. I think it'd be hard to kick him off the bag after having that early success.
Oh, yeah,
It seems like there's a little bit of magic there.
Yep.
Happy Gilmore's caddy was out with neck injury after the Waterbury Open. I can't wait for Happy Gilmore too. I don't know about you.
I'm
Is
looking
that
forward to
what's
seeing it.
happening to make you another Happy Gilmore?
They're doing it. It's happening.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really happening.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Sometimes
There are some movies that have done a good job making a sequel for like a classic, but there are others like it is.
There have been some flops.
Yes.
I think this one's going to be okay, but we'll see. This is, I have to agree with this hot take. Rumors is Fleetwood Mac's best album because Gold Dust Woman.
Yes, indeed.
Gold Dust
Oh,
Woman.
great song. Yes, great song.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man, yeah, we do need new sponsors, Jeff Riley. We'll put you to work trying to find you some
All right,
new
Max.
sponsors.
Max,
Max, you got Max. One parting
to?
thought, buddy. One, not three.
One.
Just one.
All right, works for me. Mine is it's on Justin Thomas. I had noticed he's now added Harbortown to a list of golf courses he is either tied or broken the course record on. And those courses alongside Harbortown include the Waialae Golf Country Club, Pete Dye Stadium course, the Medina Country Club Plantation course at Kapalua, the TPC Kalua Lumpar, the TPC Sawgrass, Erin Hills, and Winged Foot Golf Club. He all has either tied or broken the course record on.
Holy cow.
Which is crazy. And his most recent one, of course, was in 2024 at the American Express tournament on the Pete Dye Stadium course out there.
I'll tell you what.
He likes Pete Dye courses.
He's a very streaky guy. He's either red hot, especially early in his career when he won a bunch of tournaments.
Oh my God!
I think part of that's just because the way he plays. He's just a go get it guy. He doesn't. He always goes full bore. So it kind of either booms or busts.
Yep.
And when it booms, it's special.
Yep.
There's a player I think could learn a little bit from Justin Thomas, and I think it's Jordan Spieth. Because
good friends, those two.
I just feel like Jordan has
similar players.
Yeah, similar players, and I feel like Jordan has lost his game just a little bit over the last couple of years or so. He almost because I watched him at Augusta. I watched a little bit of his game at Augusta because he was on air, and I just could tell he had. He was always second guessing himself and stuff like that as he was going through that Augusta course. Now he finished with an okay tournament at Augusta, not his best, obviously. And then he came here and he didn't play bad. He does like this course. It's kind of obvious. He does like. It's
always
this
the putting with him, right? When the putter's hot, he's great.
His putter isn't great. But the one thing I noticed at Augusta a couple weeks ago was his driving game was not great either. Last week, and I feel like he needs to kind of rework his game just a little bit because I ain't
qualified to comment on Jordan Spieth's golf game. I
love Jordan Spieth. I think he's one of my favorite golfers right now.
I like to analyze, but I can't find much.
Look, he's another guy. A great start to his career. I just remember that collapse he had at Augusta. In 16, that was hard to watch.
I think it broke him a little bit. Yeah. It's a delicate thing, man. Confidence is a delicate thing. We think these guys are just brimming with confidence, but they're all having existential crises all the time too.
Yeah.
And
I
Especially
feel
with
as if
some of them young fathers as well. That's something to
yeah,
take into
well,
consideration.
and you got to go
Jordan's one of
home.
those guys too.
You got to drag your butt home after you
Jordan
missed the
Spieth,
cut and face your
yeah, because
wife.
I think Jordan Spieth, when he's on his
You've
game,
been out
he's one of
playing golf with the
Changing
boys for 4
diapers.
days and
yeah.
you didn't even get a paycheck.
Well, I think Spieth, when he's playing well, like I think he's one of the best golfers in the
Oh,
world
no
when he's
question.
Oh,
on
no
his
question.
A game.
But there's so many phenomenal golfers in the world now. It's
I know, but
crazy how hard it is to
like
win.
we watched him win those 2 majors in a year. Like that was his A
Well,
game.
yeah,
and he
I'll tell you
played
what, that
fantastic.
2015 Jordan Spieth, like
That was
you thought he
magical.
was going to be like even a higher ceiling
Well,
guy.
everybody called
Yeah.
him at the time the
Welcome to
golden.
professional golf, Max.
I know, and the funniest thing
Well,
was
that was the
everybody.
most impressive Masters
It's
win
hard
I've
to
seen.
sustain
He
for a long
completely
time.
dominated everybody that
Oh,
year.
yeah.
I know that,
Yeah.
but you know they called him well because of that magical run. Obviously, he was known as the golden boy of golf,
Yeah.
and I just feel
Yeah.
like there's going
That
to
was
be
a
a
lot
day
of
where
pressure.
it was
Yeah.
a lot of pressure, and I think because he was young at that point, like he was really
Yeah.
He was
young
in his, like
for a
what,
golfer at that
mid-20s, early
point, and
20s? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
the only person I know who's ever had that much pressure on him like that is Rory
Tiger.
McIlroy, Tiger Woods. You know,
Yeah,
some of the
well,
big
yeah,
names in golf.
yep.
Yeah, it's hard.
And good
And
for
he ain't
Rory
done
living
yet.
up to
Now,
it eventually in his
Oh,
career.
he's
let's
not
also
done.
not
He's
let's
nowhere
not
near
write
done.
off. Yeah.
I just
Yep.
think if
Let's
he can
not write
find
off
some of the
Jordan's
magic
career.
that he had, I think if he can find some of that magic that he had, like Justin did this week at Harbortown,
Yep.
I think
It-
Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas are going to be great for the
Really
next
is
couple
such
of
a
years.
streaky
sometimes it
game.
only
He
takes
will.
one win.
Yep.
And
That's
right
that's
now
everything. That's
and
all
now
you gotta
two
say.
guys that have really been fighting to get that one win for a while. McIlroy and Thomas are kind of
Yep.
they've broken the seal, and we might
Yeah.
have some.
I'll tell
You
you
know,
what,
for a
I'm
while now,
excited
it's kind
for
of been
the
Scotty and
intrigue that
everybody else,
brings
and I
to
think it's
the
time
Ryder
for some
Cup
others
games
to step up
this
there.
year. I'm getting
Yep.
pumped for
Yep.
what because I think
Yeah.
Europe is looking really good for the Ryder Cup this year. They just
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's right. Oh,
All
I'm
right.
excited for that.
But let's
Yep.
turn the page on all this golf talk. We've talked a lot of golf
Yeah, yeah,
lately, and I do need to clear up. Full bore is BORE, as in when you punch the gas and go full
Yes.
bore.
Full
That's what we're
full
talking
bore,
about.
the way Kevin's talking about it, is a
Yeah.
wild pig.
Yeah,
I've
that's a
actually
big
had
hog.
boar in
That's a big
Paris,
hog.
and
And
That's
if
a big
you ever
boar.
want to
delicious.
go, hunt some hogs, I just need to bring me a camera crew and our friend Gerald Freeman over in Hampton County. He'll take us back in the swamp on the horseback, and we're gonna kill them hogs with our bare hands with the knife. And
Yeah, baby.
I've seen
And
videos
Let's
and
go.
photos. It's real. It's real.
with my
I'm
parting
gonna
thought,
probably
I
have the best
definitely
one.
can, and I will make it quick. I definitely can shift away from golf. I was just doing some stuff around the house today, and I happened to see on ESPN.com that longtime ESPN play-by-play broadcaster who did Sunday Night Football,
Yeah.
college
Yeah.
basketball with Dick Vitale,
Mhm.
Sunday Night Football with Joe Theismann and Paul McGuire,
Oh yeah, that's right.
college football with Todd Blackledge. He even
Oh,
did the college baseball World Series with Kyle
Yeah.
Peterson. Of course, I'm talking
right.
about Mike Patrick. Oh, by the way, older brother of Dan Patrick,
Patrick.
Oh, really?
passed
Wow.
away at
I don't
80.
know if I
Yes,
realized
that is a very well known fact
Yeah, I
with a
was.
bunch, but
I don't
yes,
know if I
they
realized
are
that.
brothers. And Mike passed away today at the age of 80. You talk about, certainly for probably all four of us, but certainly like Kevin's chiming in a lot today. JJ, you and I just being a decade apart, Kevin kind of right in the middle of both of us. I grew up listening and watching games that Mike Patrick
Oh
did,
yeah.
starting on Sundays with Sunday Night Football, and then he got into the college football games with ESPN, working with Todd Blackledge for all those years, and then back in the early 2000s up to about, I want to say, about 2010, you could book it that most years Duke, North Carolina, he was going to be with Dickie V and calling
Mm-hmm.
those matchups. A very distinguishable voice, and definitely, especially for pure blood play by play guys like me,
Oh yeah.
one that I'm going to miss, because you knew that it was a big event if Mike Patrick was there. and his crew, and he had great longevity up until the end of his days around whatever it was 2012 or 2013 when he was calling college football with Tommy Tuberville
Oh
at
Lord.
ESPN.
I just came across that his last call was 2017
Okay.
AutoZone Liberty Bowl.
That's right.
So
That's right.
go figure.
It was
But
either with
yeah.
Tommy Tuberville or Ed Cunningham, probably.
Oh man, Tommy Tuberville.
But rest in peace to Mike Patrick, one of a
Great
kind.
voice.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
one of the
Him
greats.
and Dan, man, have two of the better voices in sports. I love me some Dan Patrick, man. I tell you, man, I love listening to his show, man. It's fun.
I have gotten away from it. I haven't listened to it in a long time. I used to a good bit, and then I got away from it. But used to really enjoy it.
I'm starting to get back into it via clips.
He's
Yeah.
just one.
Dan's still got it.
I just have so many shows that
they just got
listen to or
nominated
watch now.
for I think was it I think he just got nominated for like an Emmy or something like that as well. His
I mean,
show's
he's
now nominated again.
I know he was up for it.
Yeah.
He's when you think about all those classic sports center anchors, he's definitely the one who's sort of navigated it the best in terms of carving out the niche that felt right for him and just staying in that lane. You know,
Yep.
Olbermann flew too close to the sun and tried to do the political thing and burned up, and now he's just kind of damaged goods and just kind of rambles and like occasionally says something profound, but and a lot of them just kind of faded off, and obviously rest in peace Stuart Scott. And
Well, the times have changed too.
Well,
so
yes, the goal
the times have changed dramatically, but Patrick found a niche, and he's also got that little school, the online school where he teaches
full
kids
sail
broadcasting.
broadcasting.
My friend Dylan Kearns from USCB was a part of.
Well, it's actually
Yep.
it's not even just online school. You can actually go to the campus.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. Too.
Yeah.
I've actually seen the campus because I went there to think like I was
It's
thinking
awesome.
about going there for school.
Yep.
Despite the fact that it's
That's cool.
not the cheapest thing on planet Earth, the place is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. No, it's phenomenal.
Rich
I love
very much the same way.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
he and DG used to do a lot of stuff.
I miss
together.
Kenny Mayne. I need more Kenny Mayne in my life.
Kenny Mayne, yeah, what a guy. Oh man, the ESPN back. I just feel bad for these kids because they'll never know. They'll never know what it's like to wake up in the morning and put on ESPN and watch Stuart Scott and Kenny Mayne and all
Baseball
those guys.
tonight,
It's just
NFL
it's just not the same.
time,
Yeah,
all
Chris
that
Berman,
great
yep.
stuff. Oh,
Yep.
Actually,
Sorry, Max, I commented as you. I had to correct Kevin's spelling. Icarus. He clearly didn't play Kid Icarus on NES 8-bit back in the day. All right. Any other pressing parting thoughts, gentlemen? Max has another one.
I just wanted to say a quick congratulations. Carlo Prusa may like this one. A quick congratulations to John Cena for winning his 17th WWE championship, which is puts him as the greatest of all time, beating Ric Flair out for his 17th title yesterday.
Wow, the writers love him even more than they loved Ric Flair.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man.
And he did it as a heel too, which was crazy.
Look, I love John Cena. I think he's actually one of the great comic actors of a generation.
Aren't WWE like scripted? Like there's some like.
But yeah, let's not talk about it like it's a record and an accomplishment to have won the most championships when literally the writers decide who's going to win the championship. He did not actually do anything.
I know that, but
I'm just saying the framing. The framing could use a little work.
I get what you're saying, Justin, but I always thought they were going to keep him at 16 with Ric Flair. I always thought that.
Oh
just
my
saying.
God!
I know what you're
why
saying.
Would they?
I just want to say.
Would you be talking about it right now if they kept him at 16 with Ric Flair? No, you wouldn't. That's the whole point. It's a promotion thing. That's the whole point.
That's kind of the point.
I'm not about it. I'm all for it if you are. But we stick to the sports where we don't know what's going to happen before the game starts.
And
this is not a sport. This is entertainment.
I just wanted to say congratulations.
I'll have one more.
And I'm just messing with you. I love John Cena though.
Well, I have one more that might interest Max, or really interest my friend, our friend Marcus Walsh. because 2 days from now, the NFL draft and
That's
Oh
right.
my
your
God, that's right. Oh
Cleveland
crap.
Browns are listening to some offers potentially for the second and third overall picks in the draft.
Yeah,
Could the
they and the
Browns
Giants.
think about trading down? Could they? Because I've
Possibly.
heard they were in
We should
discussions
probably.
as of now.
I
They
mean,
could. I think they should stay put it too. Honestly,
so
I
here's the thing,
I
though.
really
I think
do.
they need to. They need a
Are
Yeah.
quarterback right now.
Oh, see, I don't think they're going to take a quarterback.
No,
I
they
think they're
won't.
going to.
But they did
Flacco's
just
their
sign.
guy.
I think
Well,
they're
yeah,
gonna. They would
Flacco
take
is, but
Travis.
for how
They,
long?
they
I
yeah,
think
Just
they would take Travis Hunter
I
there, and
wouldn't.
if they're not sure about Travis Hunter because now he's being a diva and saying, which I mean, you should play him both ways, but still, he's already saying, if you don't play him both ways, I'm not gonna play football. What are
And
you gonna do? What's your
certainly
degree
they
in,
can
buddy?
take a
Like,
quarterback,
yes, you're gonna play
but
football, but I think they would take Travis Hunter there. That's what
right.
makes the most sense. If they're not sure they
Yeah.
even want him, then and they don't want one of the quarterbacks, then you almost
Then yeah, it's
you have a responsibility to try to trade that pick because there are people who
right. Yeah, I mean
overvalue
that
that
would
pick
make
to try to
sense if
get a
they're going
quarterback.
for that.
I think Hunter's
Yeah,
going there
yeah.
at pick 2. They could maybe take a quarterback, but I don't see them doing it at 2 or
yeah,
dropping out of that pick. I
Well, they
think
won't
they're
do
going
it
to
too
go
if
but
with
unless
Hunter
Well,
at
there's someone
2,
they
and
let
think
me
then
they
let
can
me just say
slide
it
this.
down.
sounds
Then
like we
yeah,
think Cam
I would
Ward's going at one,
contemplate.
right?
yes,
That
Who?
looks like the
Yeah,
consensus at this point. He
Shador
would
at
go
yeah.
one? If
first
it's not
overall to
Shador,
Tennessee.
I
No,
think it might be.
Ward at one.
Cam
Let's
Oh,
put
Ward
Ward at
Cam
one.
Ward. Yeah,
with
I was about
Cam
to
Miami.
say.
Ward,
I was
Cam
about
Ward,
to say if
Miami.
it's not
Yeah,
Shador, it's definitely Cam Ward at one.
yeah. I
Yeah,
Correct.
said Cam Ward.
I
Yeah,
just want to
yeah.
ask though. You said Flacco's the guy. Yes, he is, but he's also 40 years old, and you don't know
yeah.
what's
He's
going to
only
happen.
the guy for this year.
Yeah,
They
Right.
still got to
Right,
I,
do something.
right. It'd be kind of those
I'm
situations where
just saying I
you
don't
have a
think they'll
guy that
trade
so
wants
are
to
out of
take
they
that
from the
pick.
bench,
are they waiting
and
for
you have
Manning
I
then?
think they
Mhm.
Like,
will.
is that like their game
or
plan then? Would
you
they
have
be going
Flacco.
after Manning next year?
No, I think
They
if
might
you
give
I
him
think you
later in the
try to
draft this
trade
year.
I think you try to trade out of the pick.
I
You at
wouldn't go
least make
after
it
Carson
known.
Beck.
Here's the deal. You at least make it known that you're interested in trading out of the pick. You see what the offers are. And if one of them makes sense, you jump on it because you don't actually think the number 2 person's any better than the number 6 person or whatever.
Right.
You think
Right.
they're all the same. So you trade down 4 spots and you get, a third round this year and a fourth next year or whatever for trading down 4 spots. Sometimes they get even more than that. And
Yep.
you also get that other team, that other team's first round pick. So you end up still getting a guy that you thought was marginally the second best player on the board at 6, and now you got 2 or 3 more draft picks to play with, and you can pick a third round quarterback with one of them. And so, I think with a draft like this where they feel like there's not really a high end ceiling on the quarterbacks necessarily, you may get a Kyle McNabb
And
or what's his
sometimes
name?
getting that extra
Kyle,
draft
what's
capital
his
turns
name
out to be
from
huge.
McCord.
Kyle
Syracuse?
McCord.
McCord.
Kyle
You
McCord,
may get a
formerly of
McCord,
Kyle
yeah.
Ohio
McCord
State.
in the
Oh,
third
Kyle
round,
McCord
and
was
you may
awesome this
think
year.
he's got just as much upside as Shadur. And so,
Yep.
I mean, that's why you at least have to float it. Because if somebody throws a big package at you and you're like, whoa, yeah, we'll take that.
I actually
That's
think
how you
Kyle McCord.
rebuild your
Yep.
how you
Yeah,
rebuild your
Yep.
program in a
Yeah,
hurry.
you're trying
I
to get as
actually
much
would.
draft
Trying
capital
to
in
get
the
a
first 3
haul.
rounds as possible, and if you
Yeah,
can get that without, sacrificing, or if that marginal level where you can afford to, you think you have that guy who's gonna be a few spots down, you jump at that draft capital. You'd
Yeah,
rather take more picks in those first 3 rounds than potentially take a chance on a guy, or just have that sense that we can get a guy that we need later on. So it
right.
all depends on what offers you get, what's coming out at you, but you have to be aggressive in that sense. Like if you see
Yep.
something you like, and if something's
Yeah,
presented, like we get an opportunity to get more picks and get more of that draft capital. We've seen teams rebuild, just getting extra guys on the line, offensive,
right.
defensive line. How
I
important have those
yeah.
guys been? You obviously you need a strong quarterback. You need strong skill position players, but if you can get more guys to anchor, you know, guys up front, or just the offensive defensive line, which is the backbone of football. In order to win the NFL, you have to have strong players up front on both sides of the
Yeah.
ball. and
I
then you
would,
just build
yeah.
off of that.
Atlanta needs a bunch of that.
Yeah.
They need to
Yep.
go after offensive line and front seven
Yeah.
hard.
Well, here's the other
my
thing.
opinion.
So
You
they've
could say
already
that about the Atlanta Falcons every year because those are
having
their
already
two
signed
weaknesses.
Flacco. So I'm going back to the Browns here, which is
Yep.
probably way more Browns than this hyper local low country sports show needs. But
Yeah, but
I just
people
want to
from
make
Ohio
this
watch
stupid.
this
I
show.
want to make this stupid point that may or may not be stupid. But if you're the Browns and you try to take one of these quarterbacks that people are not too sure about, Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders at 2, you've already signed Joe Flacco. So you've basically said, we've got a veteran guy. We intend to sit whoever we pick this year and let him learn behind Flacco until Flacco gets one of his statue arms broken off, and then he's going to play, right? So if you do that at
Sounds like the
2 and you
Falcons
bring
last
in one of those guys and they flop, it sets back your franchise for a
Well,
while.
actually,
However,
here's the other thing with that.
if you trade that pick and then you pick a 3rd or 4th round guy as a flyer and you let him sit for a year behind Flacco and then he turns into Jordan Love or Patrick Mahomes, you look like a dang genius because you also put a skill player, an offensive lineman, and a defensive player around him by trading down 4 picks.
Yeah,
So
here's what I'm gonna. Yeah, what I would say.
I think
regarding
way more GMs should be trading down than are.
Agreed. I would. Let me say this.
Yeah.
Because the other thing
And I've
with the
seen
Browns,
teams that are successful doing that. I mean, in other sports as well, where you're able to just get those extra picks in that first round or just in those first few rounds that turned out to be hidden gems, and it just gives you more shots at the dartboard when you get more picks. That's just the nature.
Well, if you trust your scouts, you're going to get value.
Well,
right, and that if you do, then yes, you go for that.
And the value gets greater. Value discrepancy gets greater the longer the draft goes on because people have slipped through the cracks that should have been picked in the 3rd, and now you're in the 5th. You know,
Indeed. It always
here's
happens
the other thing I would say
when
regarding
when
the
you're
Browns.
trying to you're picking best player.
Yeah.
What
are you saying, Max?
The thing I would say regarding the Browns is they also do not have the best track record of drafting quarterbacks either. If you look over the years of them drafting quarterbacks,
we can go back to Bernie Kosar. That was the last
That would be my other thing. Like I'm talking, like we've seen what they do when drafting quarterbacks. Never the best, probably the worst. Sorry, Marcus.
Anybody remember Tim Couch?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
God.
Timothy Sofa, Timothy Davenport, no matter what you want to call his name.
They had a bunch
was one of them
ones.
too. Manziel was a flop. Baker Mayfield may have been the best quarterback they drafted.
Yeah, but they gave up
without
on
question.
They gave up on him though.
All right, I'm going to cut off the NFL draft talk
been,
after acknowledging Kevin Libby and his love for Drew Aller, who I do think is going to be a good value pick at some point. But Tyler Warren is the guy who really caught my eye here. That dude is an animal, and somebody's going to pick him, and I pray it's not somebody in the AFC West because I do not want to pick that man.
Well, you already have to deal with what's his name from Georgia that's playing for the Raiders now.
I know, Brock Bowers.
Yeah,
and I don't need Tyler Warren in my division too. We had Antonio Gates for years.
Beast, yeah.
Oh,
I had Bo Nix on my fantasy team. To Kevin's point,
if they draft,
last year,
someone from the AFC
he ended up
West
doing well.
That's your next jersey, Bo Nix. Down with the Broncos.
According to Kevin, I guess.
Where's Bo Nix going to go? That's the other.
All right, boys. Let's call it a night. We shall. Do we plan on getting together tomorrow night? I suspect we'll give it a shot. Depending how late our epic marathons with Whale Branch go. We'll see how those go. But we'll plan on it for tomorrow night. But if you don't see us tomorrow night, we crashed out, and we'll see you Thursday for another Loco Sports Lowdown. Thanks to all of our sponsors, especially the OGs, Mickelson Law Firm. Great to see Molly last night, and hope to see her having great success down the road in softball. Thanks to all of you who listened or watched, especially Kevin Libby blowing up the comments tonight. And thank you, Marcus, for jumping in with us. And thanks to you always, Max and Wes, best wingmen in the game. That'll do it for tonight. For Wesker, Max Araj, Marcus Walsh, I'm Justin Jarrett. Until next time, go Loco.
The LowcoSports Lowdown podcast is a production of Lowco Media LLC and LowcoSports.com, an independent media outlet providing grassroots local sports coverage in the South Carolina Lowcountry. We are sustained by community support from sponsors and patrons like you. Get in the game with a monthly pledge of $1 or more at patreon.com/LowcoSports to keep us going and growing. Go Lowco!